Hello, welcome to Soulprint Intuitive Tarot for May 8th. I am really glad you're here. So today I'm going to do a couple of things. There were some questions that came up as a result of the pendulum reading I did yesterday. I'm not going to hit every single question you asked, but I thought I would touch on a couple of them and give you some quick answers. So we're going to start with the pendulum reading, and then I'm going to follow that up with a tarot card reading. I want to take a look at sort of what the strategy is, like what is going on in Trump's head and Kushner's head and the RNC's head. What sort of is their re-election strategy? What are they thinking? It's hard to believe they actually are thinking, but they got to have a strategy, right? So I want to see if I can get some answers there. Okay, so just for any of you who are brand new to this channel, this pendulum has been programmed in such a way so that when it is ready to talk and answer questions, and this of course is within my dome of protection, the pendulum is going to move back and forth just like that. It is programmed for the up and down movement for yes, and pendulum show me no. And you can see it goes round and around. You may notice some slight vibration or movement in my hand. That is connected to the momentum of the pendulum. Short pendulums like this tend to create a bit more of that movement, but I just feel that for the video, it's just easier to use one of my little short guys. Okay, so a couple of questions. Let us start with RBG. Okay, so she was in the hospital just the other day for something related to or associated with gallbladder, and she has been released, and she's such a tough lady. You know, one can only aspire to have the kind of guts and stamina that that woman has at her age. So I want to ask, is RBG going to be, is her health going to hold? Okay, so that's a yes. So is she going to be on the bench in January 2021? And that is a yes. Okay, while we're hanging out with the Supreme Court, is Merritt Garland ultimately going to end up a Supreme Court justice? Also a really strong yes, and that's nice because that guy should never ever have been denied what he was denied, and McConnell has, you know, he's at the root of it, as he is at the root of flooding the courts with really conservative judges. Is Gorsuch going to continue to be, is he going to stay a Supreme Court justice? Okay, that's a yes on him. Is Kavanaugh, is his position in jeopardy? Well, it is. Okay, so does that mean he is more likely to be removed than less? Okay, so that's looking like he may have some answering to do, and it may not, go all that well for him. Is one of the strategies, and I heard somebody say this months and months ago, and I really hope that sort of mainline television doesn't start talking about it, because if they do, and, it looks like the idea is building momentum, it could just really create more problems when it comes to judges, and especially the Supreme Court. But this is my question. Is it likely that is it likely that a Democratic president will use his right and ability, I think it's his, I think it comes from the president, to increase the number of justices on the Supreme Court. There you have it. Is that part of how they are going to be able to balance the extremely conservative view? Okay, so there you have it. Let's keep that quiet, okay? Because I don't want, people talking about it, and then the next thing you know, old Trump decides that he has to have, 22 justices up there. Okay. I asked a question yesterday and got conflicting answers with regards to the Senate. So I'm going to try again and see if I get any clarity on that. I may not. So, is the Senate going to flip to a Democrat majority as a result of the 2020 election? Okay, and so that's a pretty strong yes. So, is the Senate, are the Democrats in the Senate going to be able to increase their numbers by more than 5? No. Okay. Is the increase going to be in the 3 or 4 range? And that's a yes. Okay. So I think what could have happened yesterday was that I was thinking more than, but I said less than in terms of the 5, the number 5. So we'll hold with that answer for right now. There is, okay, so I understand that one of Trump's personal valets has now come down with the coronavirus, and apparently there was quite the uproar about that, because of course we all know that Trump's like a germaphobe, right? So that would just send him, especially, as I said, this is somebody who, is working in quite close contact with him. Let's start with this one. Is that valet going to return to good health? Okay, so that's good news, because, that's just good news. Has Trump been exposed to the virus unknowingly? Okay. Is Trump getting any sort of antibody or vaccine type treatment that would prevent him from catching the virus? Yes or no? That is a no. And so the thing is, right, is they don't even know if the whole antibody thing is even going to be effective. So, and clearly anything that he is taking or got or whatever, is that working? Is there anything that he's adding to his system that is preventing him from getting this? And that is a no. I'll ask one more time. Is Trump likely to get infected with and sick with the coronavirus? Okay, so I guess maybe we just have to be patient. Does that put Mike Pence also at risk? And yes, it does. Okay. Is it accurate that part of the reason that the Trump administration has been so opposed to increased testing is because Trump does not want the numbers to go up any higher than they are? Exactly. I mean, this was a man who didn't want sick people, sick Americans, to get off of a cruise ship because he only wanted 15 sick people in the country. And, if they got off the ship, that was going to increase his numbers. So now that we're at literally 1,250,000 infected Americans, you really think that he wants to increase testing so that that number, the actual number, which could double or triple, he's not going to let that happen. So is he doing everything in his power, or is the administration, to block testing? Oh, you bet he is. And as a result of that, have Republican governors also fallen into line in terms of restricting testing? They sure as heck have. They sure have. All right. So okay. Are the attempts to block mail-in voting, are they going to ultimately prove to be successful? Okay, so that is looking like a no. Who's crying? Gracious. Did Trump put that Republican donor in as head of the post office? Is that an attempt to get the post office to comply with Trump's wishes and demands? Yes, it is. And is that going to be successful? It really doesn't look like it. No, it does not. Okay. One more question. So William Barr has gone to the judge, and he has filed whatever needs to be filed, and he wants the judge to dismiss the charges against Mike Flynn. Now, this was the judge who just sort of questioned out loud whether this guy could be tried for treason. This is the judge that said, Michael, you just go back and you help the prosecutors as much as you can, because as it sits right now, you're not going to like the sentence I'm about to hand you. That's that judge. So I don't know how anxious he's going to be to cut old Mike Flynn some slack. Let's see. Is the judge likely to dismiss the charges against Mike Flynn? Yeah, no, he sure as heck doesn't look like that's going to be a possibility. And I know he's tried to get a new trial, and that was denied. And now he just wants everything dismissed. That's going to be denied. So when Flynn is sentenced, and Donald Trump doesn't like that, is Mike Flynn going to receive a pardon from Donald Trump? And that looks like a no too. Okay. All right. So I hope that clarified some things and answered a few more of your questions. So let's get back to the card. So what I want to know, my question is, right? This is my question. This is what it is. This is what I want to know. What is the strategy that is going on behind the scenes with Trump, with Kushner, with McConnell, with the RNC? What is that looking like? What are they kind of hoping to accomplish, or maybe not accomplish? I don't know. Okay, so give this a couple more quick shuffles. And let's see what kind of an answer we can get. When I bring the camera down, for those of you that are curious, both of the pieces that are sitting with me today are Smoky Quartz, one of my most favorite to have around me and utilize when I am dealing with Trump and his political allies and associates. Here we go. Okay, so there's my Smoky Quartz. We just kind of keep them to the side here, as is this. It's a beautiful, beautiful little wand shaped piece of quartz. The reason they're off to the side simply is because I don't want them taking up a lot of screen room. Okay, one more quick shuffle. That feels like it needs another one. Okay, so let's go Trump, Republicans, re-election strategy. Trump, Republican, re-election strategy. Trump, Republican, re-election strategy. Okay. So, for right now, their strategy is spin. That's their strategy, right? The whole thing about, oh, we're going to disband the task force, and then, oh, I guess we're not because everybody's up in arms. That was an attempt to literally take the focus off of the COVID virus and what is going on, and shift it to another topic, sort of out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. Like if they're not out there putting out a whole lot of information about this day after day, then maybe people will start to forget it, which just goes to tell you how stupid these people are. Because what you have is a country that slowly but surely, I'm sorry, is inching its way towards 100,000 deaths at this point. It's not that far off, especially not when you look at the way things are increasing and the speed that they're increasing with, of course, because there doesn't seem to be any due diligence with these people, right? Companies do what they want. Governors say open what you want. Oh, no, you don't have to follow any guidelines. It's fine. So this situation is only going to get worse. And it's really sad when you look at the graphs of all of the other countries and how they're doing with the COVID response, and they're kind of, they're increasing. A lot of them are coming back down. And then the United States, when it's like this, it's like straight up, and it's not showing any signs of decreasing. That is a tragedy, unfortunately, but that is the reality of what's going on. So, as you know, this is another one of my cards for Trump. And he basically, in his typical fashion, he's basically told the people around him, most especially Jared, who is the Prince of Stupid. Like, I don't know, you know what? If somebody kept giving me advice and it kept blowing up in my face, you got to think, family or no family, at some point I would tell them to shut the hell up. But apparently, nope. Jared has some sort of magic hold over him, or maybe Trump just likes people who are as stupid as him. I don't know, okay? But everything that Jared has said blows up. I mean, Jared was the one who went out there and was doing the whole, when people look back on this, they're going to be astounded at the remarkable job that America did in handling this coronavirus. Yeah, that's absolutely right. They are going to be astounded with the sheer cruelty, incompetence, and stupidity. I don't think that's quite what he meant, though. So part of what Trump is doing literally is saying, well, Jared, get me out of trouble. Here, get me into smooth waters, right? Take me somewhere where it's not so turbulent for me. And it's interesting because it doesn't look like that's actually going to go so well. This card often reflects sort of a, to the winner go the spoils attitude. But really, the focus in this card, as I'm looking at it, is people walking away. Okay, people just sort of like literally dropping their swords, which would be their support, and just walking away. And so it's going to get harder and harder. And now you have that whistleblower complaint that just goes to show you how incompetent Jared was and the kind of people that were handling the information and doing what they were doing, and so it's not going to reflect well. And more stuff is going to come out. There's going to be sort of more deep diving into the whole whistleblower complaint. Not quite sure exactly how that's all going to unfold, given the fact that things are really sort of up in the air in terms of who's in Washington, who isn't, etc. But definitely you can anticipate some more information coming out that is really, really incredibly unflattering. Speaking of which, there apparently is some sort of a ridiculous rumor going around that that the whole virus, that Anthony Fauci has something to do with it, and he's in cahoots. This is garbage. Do not fall in to the Chinese and Russia sort of propaganda attempts. Okay, if they can keep Trump in office, well, that's a really good thing for those countries because he's such a pliable fool. So don't fall into this stuff. Don't give it energy. Okay, I understand. I really do. I understand that this is stressful, and anything that sort of doesn't feel like this is moving ahead kind of in the right and positive direction throws people off. But let's try to stay calm, because you know what? Stuff is going to be flooding the internet, the right wing, newscasts, the right wing radio. Keep yourself, removed. And if there's something that you're reading, figure out where exactly it's coming from before you get yourself all upset and worked up about it, okay? The rumors are going to be rampant. You need to understand that. They're going to continue to accelerate, and that is exactly what they want. They want people panicked. They want them scared. They want them to feel like there's no point voting because, what the hell? He's going to get in anyways. And I repeat, as far as I'm concerned, this whole thing with Joe Biden is a Russian attempt to start that smear campaign. And rest assured, when the vice president is announced, there's going to be a smear campaign against them. So be very careful about what you give your energy to. And remember, negative energy or worry and stress is incredibly powerful energy. So you don't want to feed that. Okay? So yeah, so what's going on is they're really, really trying really, really hard to try to balance this, right? Try to get it so that Trump's numbers aren't so bad. And they are. They're tanking. They're not good at all. And so they're trying to sort of juggle that, right? They're trying to shift the information. They're trying to hide stuff, sneak away with information, not let it kind of be right out in front and where people can see it clearly with objectivity. You have both the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Wands here. And so, again, it appears as if there are going to be strong and powerful women who are not, they're going to do everything they can to try to keep the crazy in check. But remember, the Democrats do not have the power. They have the power of the House, and so the House committees investigate, and then Trump tells his people, you can't go. I don't want you testifying. I'm not going to let you. And because the courts haven't made a decision about that, at this point, he is still allowed to get away with it. I mean, at some point, I'm thinking he's not going to be able to continue with this absolute immunity nonsense. But for right now, I'm sorry, he's sort of become a force to be reckoned with, right? Because he get away with it once, right? How do you justify not letting him get away with it a second time? And so, but it does look like there's going to be some powerful women moving into position. I don't know whether these might be female, maybe heads of committees, or whether it's going to be female reporters perhaps, but it does look like there's a bit of a female check and balance of energy that's going to be coming out. So part of what the RNC wants to do is they want to sell you the story that whatever you see, whatever you think, whatever you hear that doesn't reflect well on Trump, that's just wrong. It's just wrong. He's done a fabulous job. He's done a better job than any other leader in any country in the whole world. They're going to play on your emotions, right? They're going to get people scared or frustrated or even worse, hopeless, where you just give up. Okay. And for the Republicans who still unbelievably support him, it's going to be, one of those stories of, listen, don't believe those lying eyes of yours. Don't listen to your common sense. I'm telling you, we have done spectacular. That's going to be their strategy. And there is going to be a continual spin. And what you're going to see is a lot of like trial balloon behavior where they shoot an idea out. They sort of judge the reaction to it, and then they either pull back or put more energy and more force into it. And you're also going to see women, female Republicans, taking more of a kind of front and center, if you will, role, because what they want to do is they want to assure women who are still supporting him or women who are kind of on the fence, they basically send out a message that, listen, these women trust him, these women like him, these women agree with him, so you should too. So anticipate a little bit of that kind of just games going on, just really silly games. But the point is, silly or not, they have an effect. And that's what you have to be very, very mindful of. I was delighted to see that the Lincoln Project is getting really increased support, because in some way it feels like they are going to be incredibly, incredibly effective at sort of attacking Trump without they're going to be able to do what the Democrats, the Lincoln Project is able to go for the juggler, and the Democrats are not going to do that. And I know there's people out there who think they're weak and this is ridiculous and they should fight fire with fire. But you have to understand there is a fine balance between me and we, and they are representing the we. And so they don't, frankly, want to be seen stooping to the cruel, disgusting behavior and level of Trump. And the more that is encouraged, don't kid yourself, that is exactly what Trump wants. So by not doing that, they're actually frustrating him because they will not play ball his way. Secondly, the Lincoln Project is doing the work for them. And so that's, frankly, really wonderful to hear. And they're going to continue doing that work. The Lincoln Project is not backing down. And they have some very smart people that they are currently in partnership with. And that partnership is going to grow. You're going to get more donations. They're going to be able to do some really hard-hitting advertisement. And it is going to send Trump right around the bend. And the more around the bend he becomes, the better it is, because the more erratic he becomes and the more people are able to see that he's gone somewhere, okay? He's not, he's just not in a good place mentally, okay? And the more kind of agitated he becomes, frankly, the better it makes, or the worse it makes him look, and so the better it is for the Democrats, okay? So more information coming out. Expect a lot of stuff that really creates an emotional response. And again, One of the most powerful emotional responses that can be created by the Republicans is one, to give red meat to their people, but two, to get Democrats and independents and Republicans who want Trump gone, to get them feeling like, it's an uphill battle. They can't win it. He magically, like a magician, pulled the win out in 16. Maybe he can do it again in 20. I told you before, he's not a magician. He is a one-trick pony. Don't fall into that way of thinking. Because again, the more agitated you become, the more worried you become, that is amplifying that energy. And the more you don't want something, but you put a whole bucket load of energy into not wanting it, that's exactly how you end up creating exactly what you didn't want. Okay? So there we have it. Perfect. Okay, so part of what their strategy is, whether it is Trump, whether it is Kushner, whether it is the RNC, whether it is Republican governors, Republican senators, Republican whatevers, what they're trying to do is they're trying to keep as much in shadow as they possibly can, because things coming to light, things becoming illuminated, is going to be really, really incredibly bad for them. They're not going to be able to message around it. So they're working as diligently as maybe the Democrats, independents, etc., are working to expose. They are working just as hard to camouflage and to, keep it shrouded in secrecy, because, they want the government to stay the way it is. But you know what? It's not going to. They're in for incredible, incredible disappointment and loss. And so they're going to end up being out in the cold. But again, you cannot assume that that's a given. Everybody has to work hard. Everybody has to stay positive. And together, the world supports you in doing everything that you can possibly do to ensure that the 2020 election is a blue tsunami. All right. Just a quick little thing. Somebody asked me, because I was commenting about comments that are getting flagged. So some of the things that really trip that sort of flag. The word Nazis, things like baby killer, calling people sort of a variety of sexual deviant names, all of that stuff will immediately get slapped into hold. And so, just be mindful. Better you kind of talk in a little bit of a code. I know that people like to vent, and you know what? I get it. And feel free to do so. I want this to be a safe environment where you can do that. But just please be careful of the words, because it doesn't help if I just have to go in there and remove stuff because it's being flagged. So, there we have it. I warned you last weekend that it was going to be an interesting one. It was going to be a bumpy one, and I wasn't quite sure why. Well, we know that Trump spent the weekend going on Twitter rampages. Do not expect this weekend to be any calmer, okay? The valet who is sick has sent sort of a spin into the White House, so he is agitated even more than he typically is. The Lincoln Project commercials are going to continue to really, really aggravate him. And I suspect that there may be some interesting news that comes out Saturday or Sunday that is also going to set him up. I'm not sure, or set him off. I'm not sure what the news is or what direction, but it's not going to be a calm weekend. So don't fall into the pattern of being in a negative place. Be very careful. the information you're receiving from the internet and check its source. And that's it. Until next time, take care, be well, and we'll see you really soon. Bye.